Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. And tonight I wanted to talk to you guys about the paranormal experience that I had when I went camping. Now, this was probably when I was around 12 or 13 years old, and me and my family would go camping all the time. So I would usually camp in a tent, and I usually had my own tent. Sometimes I had to share it with my brothers, but on this particular trip, I actually had my own tent. Now, this was a campground that was actually in an area that used to be a Native American settlement. And it was kind of like a preserve slash campground. The campground was like off the settlement, but it was pretty close to it. And it was said to be haunted by the spirits of the Native Americans. There were a lot of wars that were fought there. But there was one particular story that caught my interest, and I'm not sure if this actually played into the paranormal experience that I had or not, but it was pretty creepy nonetheless. So, before I tell you guys the experience that I had, I'm going to tell you the ghost story, or the legend. Now, there was a big lake that kind of was in the middle of this settlement, and the settlement was kind of built around the lake. So, the legend goes that this particular tribe that lived on this reservation went to war. And there was a husband and wife, and the husband went off to battle. So the husband's off fighting, and one of the warriors comes back and tells the wife that her husband passed away in the battle. Now, there is this medicine man that practiced dark magic. He was kind of like a shaman, but he was a good medicine man and he was a bad medicine man, so like he kind of practiced both, I suppose. So the woman went to this medicine man and she was like, my husband passed away. Can you reunite us? Like, can you unite us in death? And he's like, yeah, I'll do this for you. And she had to drink some sort of elixir, and it was going to kill her. And then he was going to join their spirits together in death. So she drinks the elixir. He performs the ceremony. And about a week later, her husband comes back. And he wasn't dead. Now, the legend goes that the ghost of this woman roams around the forest and around the lake looking for her husband, and her spirit is very restless, and she just wanders to the campgrounds and the reservations looking for her husband. So that was the story I heard prior to this paranormal experience. So let's fast forward to the paranormal experience. I'm sleeping in my tent. I had heard this ghost story around the campfire before we went to sleep, so I'm kind of have this like this sense of, oh my gosh, like, is there a ghost out there wandering around, and is she gonna find me? And so I felt very vulnerable. And when you go camping and you're excuse me, and you're out in the middle of the woods, you kind of feel vulnerable anyway. Like, this was very wooded, and it was surrounded by woods, and there was the lake. And so I go to sleep, and I was actually woken up by a scratching sound on my tent. It was just kind of like somebody taking their finger and just kind of running it down the tent. So I figured it was one of my brothers. I didn't think anything of it. And all of a sudden it starts on the other side. So there's like two fingers on each side of the tent just running down like that. And I'm thinking, holy crap. Like, that kind of freaked me out. So right after that, I hear my zipper on my tent just kind of start to come down a little bit, and I had my covers up like this. I was freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, if this Indian lady comes in and I see her, I'm just gonna freak out. And so it kind of just went down a little bit, and then it stopped. And the weird thing about this whole thing is I never heard any footsteps. And like, this was in the fall. We did most of our camping in the fall, so there were leaves everywhere on the ground, and I should have heard footsteps or something like that, but it was super creepy. And then I waited like by the way, I didn't end up falling back asleep that night at all. I was just so freaked out by the whole thing. And I actually heard like voices. There was like two voices that were talking, but it was too quiet to understand what they were saying. And I didn't know if it was a different language or if that was just my mind correlating that to the story, I'm not entirely sure, but I definitely know that whatever was like messing with my tent, I think it was paranormal because I didn't hear footsteps. It was very weird. Like I didn't, and we had a lantern that was hanging up, and so I could see like some of the light shining in from the tent. And if there was somebody walking around, like I would have been able to see them, like their silhouette in the tent. Never saw anything like that. So, you know, I ended up, as soon as the sun came up, I got up and I got my mom and I was like, oh my gosh, Mom, this is what happened last night. And she's like, oh, it's probably your brothers or something like that. And so I don't know, that was a pretty scary paranormal experience, and I haven't gone back to that campsite yet, but I really want to and see if I have any more experiences like that. So yep, that was my paranormal experience camping, and I hope you guys like this video, and go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you guys later. See ya.